So your energy engages me as I walk through the sacred space of my heart. Typically, there's a big water feature on the right side of this area when I walk in, but instead of that being there, it actually appeared around my head like a big waterfall that was pouring down on me, but it was almost like a thunderstorm, and it was like this water was just pouring over my body and really hard kind of water dropping down and around my body. And so as I allowed it to engage me, then the energy floated up inside of this water, and as it did and kind of got above the cloud that was creating the water, I felt the sacred space of the heart open up and almost like peel back, and this flower grew out of it. And so then after that was recognized, I get onto the Rainbow Road, and as I engage with your energy there, I had all my guides come and surround me. And typically they do this and raise my frequency, my energy, but in this situation they actually separated themselves into two parts, and there was one group on the front of my body and one group on the back of my body. And as I tried to move forward, the front group pushed me back, and as I moved back, the back group pushed me forward. And so it was like this struggle, like half of them were pushing me forward and half of them were pushing me back, and so it was this like power struggle almost. And so and I see in front of me the dimension, like that entrance to the next level of this experience, and so I want to move to that, and so I have to like literally become the Flash and run as fast as I can and break through this struggle to get into that area. So as I do, I move into this next part of this place, I'm in kind of like a suspended reality, and all of a sudden the song from Sound of Music starts to play. The raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. These are a few of my favorite things. And then it goes into the second verse of when the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad. And so it literally plays out the whole song. And so I'm sitting there interested, going, what's this mean for this person? Couldn't quite figure it out. I was getting that kind of mothering image of like somebody singing it to you, but then I didn't get a full confirmation that that's what was happening or that this was from your past or anything. So I allow the energy to move forward, not really knowing what's going on. And so I then drop down into like this very dark forest, and it's an image I've had before where it's this like very scary kind of like haunted forest, and all the trees have scary faces, and all their branches are like arms that kind of come out and grab at you. And the interesting thing is, as your energy walked through this forest, you were actually shaking the hands of all of these trees, the branches, and like, hi, how are you today? Like engaging them. And I was like, this is very interesting. So pulled forward, then like the energy gets sucked forward into this next visual, and it becomes the tunnel from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where they're on the boat, and Wonka like is singing this weird song, and it becomes like this acid trip feeling, and I feel like this tunnel is just like closing in on me, and it's a really weird kind of distorted, I'm not even sure what's going on. And then from there I get sucked out on the opposite side of the tunnel, and it's blue skies and a straight narrow path, and it's just like totally light, and I feel so much lighter, and like I'm just clear. And so then from here we walk and get to the door that represents your Akashic Records, and it's this big curved round wooden door, and it has this huge heavy metal circular handle. And so pull it open and go inside, and it's like a very medieval inside. I see all these coat of arms that are hanging up from the ceiling, and I see multiple coats of arms, and so I get the feeling that there's been and I just understand that this is probably past life things, and I see that there's kind of triumphs, or this whatever we're trying to acknowledge has maybe happened in many past lives. And so I call on your higher self, and your higher self comes down, and I ask your higher self, what's for the highest good for this person to know right now. And your higher self takes the appearance of a knight, like in shining armor, and tells me we're going to battle again. And I say, okay, so what are we going to battle for? And basically said to me that they're ready when you are, like to fight this battle. And so then I start getting pulled back to all of this patterning that I've seen so far, and it's everything from the rain that then is a heavy rainstorm that then grows a flower, to the guides that are, half of them are pushing me forward, half of them are pushing me back, to the song that is about raindrops and kittens, to bee stings and dog bites, to the creepy forest, but you're engaging and very happy-go-lucky in it. So everything to me is very dualistic so far. We've got a positive and a negative, and a positive and a negative. So this to me leads right to left and right brain. And so I get it. Like, I get that you are most likely being called to start to work through the brain. And I feel like, so I ask your higher self and basically get the confirmation that yes, it's time to start letting go of the ego brain, and the ego brain has kind of been allowed to run wild, and it's sucking you into these times of engaging. Okay, so it's almost like there's a very dark part of this brain, and anytime it's ego basically thrives off of past influences and future concerns, right? So ego isn't in the present moment. The ego brain, or the left brain, is always working out scenarios and situations and calculating and trying to figure out from all of your past encounters, how can we analyze this to prevent any future concerns from happening. And so the ego brain is always trying to calculate and figure out, and it gets sucked into this, what I would consider that Willy Wonka tunnel. It's just this inward dark spiral of what ifs and hows and moving forward, and it's just not allowing you to be engaged and present and open, and that end of the tunnel where you're in just like the blue sky, straight and narrow path where it's just easy and light. The ego brain, when it's dominating, is heavy and dark and keeps you locked into just patterning and past things. It doesn't let you grow and move forward. So I get that, but I get that right now you're engaged in this right brain, or left brain, and everything is very calculated, and I feel like you almost get sucked and pulled into this like dark rabbit hole, or that dark forest, and if you envision that dark forest and you just going and shaking these scary, freaky trees' hands, it's like you've almost made an alliance, like, okay, I know this isn't serving me, but I'm going to work with it. Because this is what I have, and this is what I know, type of a thing. It's almost like you've created not a pact, and not an alliance, but it's almost like you've just allowed yourself to operate from this way. And so this is what you know, and this is how you kind of move through life. So I get that your higher self is saying, okay, it's time, like, we need to fight this battle. It's time to go in and stop the ego frustration and the ego spiral that's happening. Like, we have to lighten the brain, we have to connect, we have to harmonize and balance the brain, meaning you have to be able to bring in this right brain aspect, which is, right brain is that like holographic divine connection, right? So your right brain connects to the divine, and the left brain kind of helps to manifest it. So what I'm getting is that, and they told me, I said, okay, how does this person do this? This is a pretty tall order to just tell somebody to do. So they gave me 3 steps. So basically, first, they said that you have some kind of twitch or habit or something that you do that is like a patterning, and they said to bring up mine. So how I started to control my brain, or at least my thought processes, was to figure out where my tongue was in my mouth. This was a big help for me. Anytime my tongue was on the bottom of my mouth, behind my bottom 2 teeth, front 2 teeth, I knew I was in a very relaxed, receptive, open state. grounded. Anytime my tongue was in the roof of my mouth behind the top front 2 teeth, I knew that my mind was very active and very in the ego center. So they said that there's something that you're doing like this as well that you can use to help you acknowledge when you're being sucked into this ego mindset. And they said then by breathing, and because breath helps us stay very present, and figuring out how to then release yourself from that trap or that spiral that you could get sucked into. And then they said anytime you recognize you've been sucked into that, you need to use the phrase cancel that thought. So anytime you feel you're being kind of pulled on this strain of reviewing past concerns or trying to set up future, probabilities and moving through it, just say cancel that thought. Anytime you're thinking dark thoughts or things start to play out in your head, you have to use cancel that thought, cancel that thought, cancel that thought, because your thoughts are going to manifest and they're going to keep you kind of locked into this pattern. So anytime it's not serving you, whatever you're thinking about, just say cancel that thought. And then from there, they want you every morning and every night to pull down your silver grounding cord. It's going to come right down through the top of your head, move straight down through the middle of the body, following the spine, out through the groin area. It's going to connect into the earth between your 2 feet, straight down in the core of the earth, and you'll know it connects when you see or feel or understand or think there's a silver illuminated kind of orb within the middle of the earth. So as that connects, then you're going to start to run a golden infinity sign between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. So if you see the figure 8, and lay it flat, so it's on a horizontal plane, have the left hoop of the 8 touch the left side of the brain, the right hoop of the 8 touch the right side of the brain, and then what you're going to do is you're going to run the energy from left to right, circling everything into that middle point in the 8, and then what you're going to do is send anything that's a lower vibration, lower frequency that's no longer serving you down through that center point in the 8, connecting through the silver grounding cord and into the center of the earth, where it can get transmuted and sent back to wherever it originated from. So this is your process to start to balance and harmonize the left and the right side of the brain, making you more open and receptive to your divinity and that spirituality. So I wish you good luck, and I think your higher self presenting itself as a knight in shining armor is exactly how it should have, because this is like one of the hardest things to try and do, is align your third eye chakra, the mental center of your body, and open it so that you're kind of free of basically like the human constraints of the mind. So good luck. It's a hard task, but they wouldn't give it to you if you couldn't do it. So with light and love.